Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today and welcome to this educational presentation where I'm glad to announce a brand new course we're going to be presenting in the upcoming weeks. It's called my New and Advanced Ways to Trade course. I'm going to share with you what's included in this course in just a few minutes and actually make an exciting announcement about an extra bonus about something that we've never taught or displayed in any of our courses prior to this one. So welcome once again. My name is Stephen Primo. I'm the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I've been trading now for 48 years. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for a total of 16 years, and 9 of them I was a specialist. If you're not familiar with what a specialist is, well, there aren't a lot of them around that much anymore because we've gone to electronic trading. But in the old days, if you ever Google those pictures of the trading floors with those gentlemen behind those large wooden podiums and lots of paper on the floor, and they were making weird hand signals, those are specialists. In other words, they specialized in making markets in roughly about 50 or 60 stocks. So in the old days, if you wanted to buy or sell a particular issue, like IBM, one of the stocks I made a market in, you had to walk up to the trader who specialized in making a market in that. So I was a specialist during the crash of 1987 and the bull market that followed. I left the floor in the mid-90s to manage money, also to trade my own account. And about 15 years ago, I developed specialist trading. I teamed up with ProTrader Strategies, where we had one goal in mind, a little bit different from other websites you may have gone to webinars before or become affiliated with, in that specialist trading's only goal is to simply educate you. We are first and foremost an educational company. So rather than telling you what we think the market's going to do or what we think the best stock is to buy or what we think you should be trading in what particular time frame, our goal as an educator, as a mentor, is not to tell you what to trade, but to teach you how to trade so that ultimately you can make your own trading decisions. Because if there's one thing I learned in nearly 5 decades of trading, the only traders that are still around, that are still making their own trades, are the ones that make their own trading decisions. They don't rely on going to chat rooms or trading rooms. They don't listen to earnings estimates or listen to guys on TV. They have a plan in place that they know has a high level of consistency, and they simply implement it on their own. So that's what we're trying to instill in all of our students. And I'm happy to say we have students in over 115 countries and in virtually every state in the United States. So hopefully we'll be able to instill these same things in you. So you won't just be having a good week or a good month, but hopefully a good decade to sustain you. And you'll see that in today's educational class. Now, before we begin, we're required to share this with you, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to share with you a lot of performance results by applying these simple but advanced methods, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And as I said earlier, since we are an educational company, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, another way to get education on a daily basis is to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter. There's our handle right there, abbreviation for Specialist Trading. You may want to copy that down because every day I post between 5 and 7 different snapshots of signals our methods have generated and also little bits of financial wisdom. Also, if you're familiar with us being on YouTube and you'd like to see more of that content, please hit the subscribe button. I know we have a lot of people watching us right now on YouTube as we are presenting this live on YouTube. So you can get a lot more content if you hit the subscribe button as well. So lots of great ways to get free education on a daily basis. Okay, so let's begin today's educational presentation. And we are officially introducing the new course, our New and Advanced Ways to Trade course. Okay, this is going to be starting in the following weeks. It's actually, I believe it's going to be a 2-week course. So in other words, we'll have 2 separate distinct classes in different following weeks. But let me share with you who this course is for. It's for traders who have reached a plateau in their trading. Now, let's say you've started out trading a strategy, maybe you purchased from someone else, or maybe you've developed it on your own, but you've reached this kind of limit where you've stopped seeing a lot of progress. Sure, you have a couple of good days, then you give it back, and then you have some more days that are well in, with the results, and then you give it back. So you're basically treading water. You've kind of reached this barrier. You don't need, a brand new mentor or a brand new system, you just don't know why your current method isn't working that well. You've reached some type of barrier. How are you going to break through on that? Well, this course is specifically for traders who are currently experiencing that. Now, that's much better than being in a slump. So this course is actually for those traders who are currently in a slump. So this is much worse, but we know how difficult it is to be in that environment. You get very discouraged. You've put in a lot of hard work and a lot of hard-earned money into your trading, and you're not seeing any results at all. You're losing a lot of money, and you start worse than that. You're starting to really doubt whether you should be trading at all. So this course is specifically designed for those traders who are currently in a slump. It's also designed for traders looking to expand their horizon. Let's say you're trading a method, it's you're maybe not in a slump, but you've reached that plateau and you start to look at the rules or what you're basing your trading off of, and you say, gosh, all my stuff seems so antiquated. It's the same stuff that's been around for maybe decades, and I'm still using this. Maybe that's why I'm not seeing the type of results I'd like to see. You feel like you're basically trading worn out ideas and traditional methods that really aren't seen and producing the type of results. So this course is specifically for those people as well that want to expand or broaden their horizon. And then finally, this course is for traders who want to take their trading to a higher level. Now, what do we mean by a higher level? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're making more or tons of more money, which sure would be great. But the higher level really means, are you trading like a professional? Are you sitting there and yelling and screaming and have tons of trades going on, and you're just so flabbergasted with what's in front of you, and you don't really understand everything? That's not the way a professional trades. That's more of like a gambler. So you want to take your trading to the next level, a higher level, which is more in terms of the way a professional trader trades. So this is for those people who are looking to really mature their trading and to take it to a higher level. So with that stated, let's talk about some of the highlights of this particular course. Excuse me. Some of the highlights are, it's an entirely new approach to trading. Okay, now what we mean by that is that we are going to be looking at a lot of the same concepts, a lot of the same benchmarks that we based a lot of our teaching on, but we're taking an entirely new approach to this. This is what's going to take your trading to the next level. Also, we're going to be providing you with some more trading techniques. In fact, a total of 3 more trading techniques. But the best thing about this is that you'll get actually 2 brand new strategies. Now, with all of our courses in the past, we've usually looked over at indicators and maybe provided 1 new strategy. With this particular course, we're actually giving you 2 new strategies that have shown really phenomenal results when we've researched it. Here's what I think is the best thing about this course in terms of what I think you may be looking for. I'm asked this question over and over again for the past 15 years since I've been teaching. It's like, Steve, how do you decide what time frames to trade? Well, I always say my standard answer, which is, well, the time frame is the best one that fits your needs and makes you feel the most comfortable. And I usually don't share or tell you what my time frames are, what I like to trade. Well, for the first time, I'm going to show you how I decide which time frames to trade. Now, this doesn't mean you're going to have to do the exact same thing. It may not fit in with your style, your persona, but I'll actually share with you how I decide particular time frames. And then included with that, you will also see my predefined entries, exits, and stop placement. So you're going to get the closest view you can, almost just as if you were sitting right next to me. You will see my time frames, how I decide which time frame, how I decide where my entry is going to be, my exits, and my stop placements on my particular style of trading. Now, remember, we are an educational course. I'm not saying that this is the way you have to trade. That would be counterproductive to our philosophy of teaching you. But in order to help you, maybe take you to that next level, I want to show you how professional trades. After all, I've been trading for 48 years, so I want to let you see on how I have decided to trade my own personal style. Now, let me share with you some recent setup examples, okay? Now, I can't divulge everything because I'll be giving away all of what's included in the course, but I'll share with you some of these recent setups so you can see how new and advanced they actually are. Now, remember, if you've been a student of mine, I see we have a lot of students in class today, and some of them are former students of other strategies I may have. Take a look at some of these setups. You'll be happy to find that the majority of them are not based on any other strategies or methods that I've taught before. So these are entirely different. As I said earlier, this is an entirely new approach to trading. All right, so let's look at this example here in Apple. As we can see, Apple was going straight up here, right? And then all of a sudden, it fell out of bed. Most traders would say, wow, this is really bad. Okay, we're going lower. Looks like we're in a downtrend. One of our new strategies that you'll be learning in the course actually generated a buy signal right here, very close to the lowest bar. And look what happened after that. In the next 4 days, the stock shot up 16 points. So you had 16 points to work with on the upside before, guess what? It came crashing all the way down again. Rather than say, well, I guess that was it. That was just a short-term bounce. Now I guess we are going lower. Nope. This brand new strategy generated another buy signal right here. And you could have been applying 14 points to that next upward move. Okay. So potentially you could have captured 30 points within these last couple of months coming into this month, July. Here's another example, but we're looking at an entirely different market, an entirely different time frame. Here's a 1-hour chart of IBM. Okay, as we can see, looking back, all right, the stock has a really nice run up coming into July this month. Using this same strategy I talked about earlier, guess what? It would have given you a buy signal based on an hourly bar, a 45 potential gain. And if you missed that, the same strategy generated another buy signal. You notice how they were very near or at the lows of these sell-offs. This is a brand new strategy that you'll be learning all the rules to in the new and advanced ways of trading course. All right, let's go into an entirely different market. Let's look at currency pairs. Here's the euro yen. Looking back in hindsight, once again, this has been going straight up. Well, let me share with you the signals that this new technique, this new and advanced technique would have generated. Because all you had to do was follow this technique and you would have had a buy signal here, followed by another one here, and all the way up as the market was going higher, this new technique continued to generate buy signals. And had you taken the very first one back here, you could have potentially captured upwards of 900 pips. That's basically $9,000 coming into this past week per unit. Okay, this is a technique I will be sharing with you all the rules. And once again, if you look at this, you realize that some of these bars that the signal are generated, they close towards the high, others close towards the very low, others close somewhere in the middle. So this is not based on anything we've taught you before. All right, here's a sideways chart in CNC, Centene Corp. As we see, this is the type of market where you say to yourself, well, you know what? I'm not going to do anything until it breaks out. I went to that chat room or that trading room, and they said this is coiling up, getting ready to break out, but we don't know which way yet. It could break out to the upside. It could break out to the downside. So using traditional methods, you're waiting for some type of close above or below those barriers. And look what happened on the very next bar. We closed above. So this, for all intents and purposes, is a buy signal using traditional style methods, right? Well, one of these techniques, which I'll be sharing with you, this new and advanced technique actually generated a sell signal on the very same bar that you would have been thinking, I have to go long. And look what happened after that. The very next day, the stock dropped about 20 points. In fact, coming into this past week, it was down 30 points, all based on this new and advanced technique that you will only be learning in the course. Now remember, it obviously gapped down because of some news or some type of announcement, but we knew a day in advance to exit or to go short. Let's look at another example, a less expensive stock, I should say. And a lot of traders always say, well, Steve, what happens when the trend changes? How do these techniques or strategies work? Well, here's a perfect example. CRK, just about a month ago, was going straight up, and then it went straight down. Using these techniques and methods again, as it was going up, you could have potentially captured upwards of 4 points, and as it was going down, you could have potentially captured upwards of 6 points. So a total of 10 points, or a third of the value of the stock, you could have potentially captured, all within a couple of weeks. Let's go back to currency pairs again. Here's a 4-hour chart of the Australian dollar. Okay, someone looking at this would say, well, Steve, this is basically, support level right here. In fact, look what happened. We have a bullish engulfing pattern. We're starting to go higher. So this is a support. It looks like we should be a buyer here, right? Well, what happened to the buyers? The next bar cut through that like a knife through butter. So there was really no support there. There was no reason to be buying. And so just when you say, okay, gosh, I've got a major loss on my hand, and so you sell, and then it decides to go back up. Well, once again, with one of the strategies I'll be teaching you, right here at the top of that first little initial bounce, a sell signal was generated. And you could have potentially captured 100 pips in the next 2 days. That's $1,000 roughly per unit. And just when we hit the lows and you thought, wow, this is going much lower, this same method generated a buy signal right at the low on the 17th of July, which was last week, and you could have potentially captured 60 points. So roughly 160 points or $1,600 potentially in just about 3 or 4 days work using this new and advanced method. And once again, as we see here, the same method generated a sell signal when it closed up and a buy signal when it closed lower towards the middle. So there's no real rhyme or reason as to looking at this in terms of our old strategies. This is an entirely different approach to trading these concepts, but with a different approach. Here's NVIDIA. Okay, everyone's talking about NVIDIA, great stock, right? The great stock for 2025, 2024, and 2025. Looking back just about 3 weeks ago, the stock was basically, once again, just in a range pattern. But in that range, one of our new techniques generated a buy signal. And look what happened, 30 points coming into last week, all right? This just recently happened about 3 weeks ago. And if you missed that, the same method generated another buy signal right here. So potentially you could have captured 20 points instead of 30 points. Now here's another example looking at Tesla coming into last week, how a lot of people will say, well, gosh, Steve, how do you trade something like this? I mean, it's going down, going up, going down, going up. Well, with one of the strategies I will be teaching you, once again, it generated a sell signal right here at the top, and you could have potentially captured 85 points in the following week on the way down. Or if you were long, you could have avoided an 85-point loss. Now, as everyone thought it was going lower, well, right here, that same method generated a buy signal, and you could have potentially got back in the market and captured upwards of 60 points. Now, when everyone thought it was going right back up to making new highs, the same method generated a sell signal right here when the market was closing higher, or you could have potentially either saved yourself a 55-point loss, or if you were aggressive and you'd like to go short, you could have potentially made 55 points. And then lastly, when you thought, well, that's it, I guess we are going lower, another buy signal was generated right here, where you could have potentially captured 60 points. So even if you don't like to go short and capture these downward moves, you could have just used these long signals to capture both 60 points or 120 points. Now, we know that's getting in right there on that signal and exiting towards the highs. So, that's potentially what you could have captured. But let's say, it's very difficult to get out at the very high. So instead of 120 points, let's just say you captured half of that. Let's say you only captured 60 points. Would you be happy in making 60 points in a month? Let's say you captured only half of that, 30 points. Would you be happy in gaining 30 points in just 1 month? This is the potential you have with these new and advanced ways of trading, because it's an entirely different way of seeing, a different insight, a different approach in how to trade. So this is what we will be covering in our course, which will start in the upcoming weeks. Once again, let's recap. Who exactly is this course for? If you're a trader who has reached a plateau in your trading, if you're just kind of treading water, if you're not breaking through to higher levels, well, this is perfect for you. If, unfortunately, you're in a slump where you just can't seem to make ends meet, nothing is working, every time you buy, it goes down, every time you sell, it goes up, this course can really help you get you back on track. If you're looking to expand your horizons, if you feel like, wow, I feel like I'm trading with old antiquated ways of trading, moving average crossovers, support and resistance, things that were taught to me some 5 decades ago. Here's a great way to expand your horizons and to elevate your trading. And lastly, if you want to take your trading to a higher level, by higher level, I mean a more professional level, this will increase your odds for consistency and really help you get to that next level. Okay, now a bonus to all traders, as I said earlier, for the very first time, I'll be revealing my personal trading style. You'll see how I decide which time frame or which markets to trade. Also, you'll see how I determine where to enter, where to exit, and where to place my stops. Now, this is in no means saying that you have to trade this way, because that's counter to everything we teach. We want you to find your own way. But I will be revealing it because a lot of students have been asking, and after 15 years, I'm finally going to, for the very first time, show you exactly how I trade. Now, if you're still not convinced, you think, well, this is, I guess I'm doing okay. My method's going to break out sooner or later. Let me show you something that happened just yesterday. Here's another example of a directionless market. This was an MEDP. We realize that it's an expensive stock, but still, someone could say I could buy some options if I was interested. But looking at this, say somebody in a chat room says, don't touch this stock. It's just going sideways. It could be going sideways for days, for weeks, for months. I would stay away until it breaks out. And that way you'll be more assured to get in and you won't have a lot of risk exposure. Okay, well, that's sound advice. But what if I told you that if you approach the market differently, if you looked at it through a different scope, you would have known that this was really not a directionless market. It was giving you a sign to buy. In fact, one of the methods that I'll be teaching you in the course generated a buy signal here on the 14th. This was just last week, a week from Monday, okay? So even though nothing happened a week after that, and then following 5 days, using where I will be teaching you my standard stop placement, you would still be in this trade. You would not have been stopped out. And if you were still in the trade, guess what? You could have potentially captured 180 points because the stock gapped up tremendously. Once again, probably based on some news, based on some news event or some announcement. None of our methods or techniques or methodologies are based on fundamental news. They're all based on market behavior and a new and advanced approach to trading. So therefore, we don't rely or have to wait or worry that we missed a news event, because most of the time we're in prior to a news event and we can reap the advantage if we're on the right side. And it's been my experience that when you base your trades based on market behavior and not fundamental news, oftentimes, more than not, you are on the right side of the market prior to a news announcement. Just the way this new method that I'm going to be teaching you in the course would have gotten you in a full week in advance before a 180-point rise. Be one of the first to join our new and advanced ways to trade course. It will be starting very soon, very shortly in the following weeks. So here's how to take advantage of this great offer. Contact my sister site, which is Pro Trader Strategies. They're in charge of all our early bird specials and discounts. That's why we don't have a price up here yet, because they can give you a nice early bird discount or some type of really nice quote. I would really highly recommend giving them a call. There's their email address right there, or their email address. But I would highly recommend giving them a call at 310-598-6677. They have trading consultants manning the phones right now. They would be more than happy to give you more information on how to sign up for the course. They'd be more than happy to give you a quote and tell you exactly what you'd have to pay for, even if there's an early bird special, which there most likely is. So there's lots of great ways to get in and find out and be one of the first, as I said earlier, to be on board with the new and advanced course, okay? Now, I'm going to leave this information for you to copy down the number or the email address if you like. If you have any questions concerning what I'll be teaching or how much I can divulge, please go to the chat box or the question and answer box right now, and I'll be happy to answer them. Let's see, we have a question right here. Someone is asking, when do the classes start? Well, most likely they'll be starting in the next 3 or so weeks. We have to wait to see how many people sign up, and then we can decide the size of the classes, because sometimes we have just tons of people signing up, and so we decide to have the class very soon. Other times it takes a while for people to sign up, and then we'll have the class maybe in 3 or 4 weeks. But as of right now, we'd say on average in the next 3 weeks, And someone is also asking, are there 2 classes or 3? Most likely just 2. There's going to be, we have the classes on Friday. We usually have them at 10 o'clock Pacific time on Friday. So that will be 1 class. And then the following week, we'll have class number 2. Okay, so that's, in my opinion, the best way to do it. But that way, we don't inundate you with too much information. Someone's asking, any hint on the methodology? I really can't, because it would be giving everything away. And that's why I tried to show you some of the best and most current examples of this. But these methodologies, all I can tell you is this: they're based on the same concepts. In other words, we're not totally jumbling up the rules and saying, well, everything now is based on earnings reports. We're not going to do that and change everything around 180 degrees. It's still based on the same concepts, the same process we've talked about before. But for the first time, I'm sharing you how I trade, which is a totally different approach, a totally different way of looking at the markets. And this will really kickstart your trading. We really believe that. So with 3 trading techniques and 2 brand new strategies, I don't think you can go wrong. And plus you'll be right there alongside of me, seeing how I apply them with my own personal trading. And so it'll be a really, really great course. Okay. Indicator included. Yes, you'll get everything included. And most of these, everything will be included. And on top of that, I can't say for certain, but if you're a previous student where you've purchased our platform or another strategy, I'm sure that Pro Trader Strategies can work in a good deal for you or give you a good type of a special. So I would definitely give you a call. If you're already a preferred customer, then definitely come on board, because you won't be having to pay the full price. But remember, Pro Trader Strategies, my sister site, is in charge of all the pricing and all of the early bird discounts. So they're the ones to talk to about pricing. But yeah, you'll get everything, and you'll not, none of this will be like, well, you have to purchase something extra. Okay. Someone said, how long are the classes? Classes usually last anywhere from 1 to 3 hours, obviously 2 hours on average. So I would just say about 2 hours. And if you can't make the class, don't worry, everything is recorded, so you'll be able to watch it at your own leisure. Even if you do attend, you'll still get a copy of the recording as well. Okay. So just to recap, classes there'll be most likely 2 classes. We will have them on most likely on Fridays. Most of our students seem to like that day, because then they have the whole weekend to research and practice with what they've learned. And they'll run roughly about 2 hours, 3 hours at the most. And you'll have me there. We like to keep the classes intimate. So, when we first started this out, we were having classes of 100 people or more. It was just too much, because everyone couldn't ask a question. And so if we have too many people signing up, we'll break it into different classes so that we can only have, a small intimate amount per class. All right. That way people feel more comfortable. They can ask a question. They don't feel like they're, involved in a huge, large group where they can't, really feel comfortable to ask questions. Okay, good questions. I don't know. Someone's asking the specific date. We don't have the specific date yet, but once again, it'll be in August. We just don't know exactly when. Okay, because we're waiting to see the response. This is the very first presentation we've given on this, so we're waiting to hear what type of response we get. And if we get a good sized crowd here, which often we do, we'll have the class really soon. Okay. Okay, good question. Once again, let me just repeat, if you are very serious, or you just like to get more information in terms of pricing and what's included, contact Pro Trader Strategies at area code 310-598-6677. There's absolutely no obligation. They're there to work with you. They can tell you about early bird pricing. If you've been a prior customer of ours, they'd be happy to work with you and perhaps give you a really nice discount, okay? All right, as we close up and take one last look at our disclaimer, I would just like to say thank you so much for taking time out of your Wednesday to come listen to this short, brief presentation. I know it was brief, but the course is going to be jam-packed with information and things we've never presented before. So thank you so much. I wish you all the best of luck and look forward to seeing you in the new and advanced trading course. Thank you so much. I'll see you in class. Bye-bye.